This is a show about jewelry, why we wear it, why it matters, how it's made, and what it means. I'm Alex D, and I turn cannabis into gold. I make mind-blowing jewelry in gold, silver, and platinum from cannabis plants here in Canada for stage, screen, for people who want to rock crazy jewelry. I'm the cannabis goldsmith. So you have to picture this. There's like around my property here, which is it's not huge, but there's a bit of land. There's lots of snow. There's maybe 3-4 feet of snow on the ground. Some of it in drifts. It's deep. It's like waist deep. Much of it is melted in the last day, like half. It's just amazing how quick it disappears. But it's not over. It's not over yet. Out in the property, there are these huge oval kind of tracks going across the property, like like big, like maybe 2 feet long, and they're by a foot wide, and they're all over the property, and they're kind of expanding as the snow melts to get bigger. That was me in my snowshoes. I was so cabin fevered here. With the snow just kept coming down and everything, I couldn't go anywhere, so I went out and bought some snowshoes to walk around the property, just to see what the hell was going on, maybe see some animal tracks, or to go out and shoot some photos on the property, get some winter stock photography before it all melts. So I bought this pair of snowshoes at Canadian Tire. For my international listeners, Canadian Tire is a store that sells everything from cookware to snowshoes and car parts, and they usually have a gas auto service bays attached, so they'll service your car while you buy cookware and potting soil. Like it's a crazy shop. I don't know if there's an equivalent anywhere in the world. It's like a farm store / Canadian store. Canadian Tire. And this is not an ad for Canadian Tire, by the way. It's just almost a staple of Canadian shopping. So anyway, I went into Canadian Tire and I bought these snowshoes, and they're different from the snowshoes I remember. As a kid, I remember wearing snowshoes that were made of wood and something called catgut, which was like, it looked like leather, kind of weird. I remember asking if it was made from real cats or not, but somebody said, no, it isn't. It's like sheep's intestines or something. They stretch out over like tennis rackets and wicker chairs or seating or snowshoes. Anyway, the old ones were made of wood, and this catgut stuff was stretched across them. And they were really huge and wide. You had to walk bow-legged in order to use those. And it was really hard, like so difficult. They were heavy too. For a little kid with giant snowshoes that were bigger than him, this is like, it's hard to do. Due to the technology, the progress of technology, snowshoes have become smaller, and they're much smaller, and they're lighter, and they're made of aluminum tube and plastic and whatever. They're like a foot wide now, and maybe 2 feet long each. And you strap them on your boots, and you go out into the snow, and they keep you from sinking all the way down. Now, granted, this snow here was so kind of fluffy that even with the snowshoes on, I sunk down maybe 8 inches each time I took a step in the snow. So here I'm tromping around the property, leaving these massive tracks all over the property. What a workout. Holy crap. Now the snow's melting. I got really no use for them until next winter. But they're good to have, I think. It allows me to get to these areas of the property where I can take video and photos of snow and branches and that kind of, just like capturing the stock photography of Canada, like the Canadian vibe. So I'm doing a bit of that. I'm going to be redesigning our web pages this year to make it very, very Canadian. I'm pulling everything away from the United States because of their insanity and their threats against Canada. Their daily threats against, my country. So I'm not, unless somebody approaches me from there to buy a product, one of our products, I'm not going to make any effort to sell into the United States anymore because it's frankly, it's distasteful. It's distasteful. They're continuing to threaten. They've actually declared war on us economically. So the lunatic Russian, the new Russian leader of the new Russian Republic to the south, he's threatening his tariffs again. He doesn't even really have to put them on, because if he does, he breaks his own free trade agreement with Canada. So what he's doing is he's just threatening to do it. He's saying, "Oh, I'm going to do it on March 24th." Then on March 23rd, he decides not to. But all the impacts of this has hit us. So he's softening us up here in Canada for what is going to be a takeover. He's going to come in here. The Americans are going to come and try and take over our economy, our country. And they're going to steal our resources and enslave our people. This is what they're trying to do. Now, you might say, "Oh, that's like you're exaggerating." I'm not exaggerating. You just have to look at Ukraine to see how they deal. They slide the piece of paper across the table with where you sign away your life to them, or they'll kill you, or they'll remove the supports they were providing so that you'll die, right? This is how they are. This is how the Americans are now. Don't trust them, anybody. If you're in Europe, don't trust them. They don't honor the agreements they sign. And even if they sign an agreement, they perpetually threaten to break it, which invalidates the agreement. Here in Canada, we're in a real predicament because we don't have a government yet. It's still trying to sort itself out. And when it does, I hope we will move away from the United States and closer to Europe and Asia for our trading partners. And we just let them go mental, like they seem to be doing, and destroy their country. The thing is, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking the vibe here in Canada is it's patriotic, but there's a kind of a methodicalness to it. Canadians are they're canceling their trips to the United States. In Canada, the snow I talk about here, what happens is in January and February, Canadians are so sick of it that we all book flights to Florida to spend 2 months in Florida down there. And there's even a word for the Canadians that do this. There's a name for them. They're called snowbirds. And there are many. And predominantly they're retired people with large bank accounts that go down to the United States. And some of them even own property there. So they stay in their condo. They live in the United States until the spring, and then they come back to Canada. Now, this is like a migration. It's like a bird migration. Snowbirds is why we call them snowbirds. It's like a migration of seniors as they head down to Florida. Not anymore. Not anymore. Many Canadian snowbirds have canceled their U.S. trips because of the sheer how sick the United States has become. How just disgusting. Like, why would you want to go there? Like, really? Sure, you can ignore the school shootings, maybe, but like, if you want to go there and have a good time, how can you with the daily insanity going on down there every single day? It's just atrocious. There are no words to describe it. We here in Canada, what's happened is we're not traveling there as much anymore, and there's a movement in Canada that is boycotting U.S. produced products. But it's not really a boycott, it's a Buy Canadian campaign. So groups have formed across Facebook. I know I've talked about this in a previous episode, but people are going into grocery shops, their supermarket, when it comes to do their grocery shopping, and they're carefully looking to buy Canadian, made in Canada or product of Canada products. And they're filling their shopping carts with that, and they're leaving the American-made products on the shelves. So we're also buying European-made products, English-made products, all these food products that come from anywhere but the United States. Now, this boycott of U.S. products is spread right across Canada, and it's sustaining. And now this is an organic movement that started on the ground. This wasn't directed by any kind of politician or anything like that. This started on the ground from Canadians. And that's why it is sustaining, and that's why it is spreading now around the world. As countries around the world are being threatened, their economies threatened, or their culture or their civilizations threatened by the new United States, the new Russian Republic of the United States, they're not buying products. Why would you want to buy an American product when the president of the country is threatening to destroy your country? Why would you? Why would you even want to buy it? So people in Canada, anyway, are not buying U.S. products like they once did. And in fact, they're looking to avoid buying U.S. products. And now this is spread to the U.K. It's going to spread to Germany. It's going to spread all over Europe. In China, now they're avoiding U.S. products. And they were already, because it turns out they're making better products than the United States are making. The Tesla sales have dropped 50% in just a short period of time. Something like 3 weeks. In 3 weeks. In a month since the new regime, the Tesla stock has dropped 50% as people just flee. People are just disgusted with the owner of the company, where the cars, what the cars represent. And now this is spreading to the United States itself. There's a kind of aesthetic happening I'm watching too in the United States. It's an aesthetic change. It's really strange. It's like the colors are becoming way more saturated on the U.S. political content coming out of the Trump office. The suits are becoming very, very blue that they're wearing. They match, the Pantone matches probably to the blue of the American flag. And the red tie is like the red stripe or whatever. The effect is their suits. Like I was looking at Rubio's suit in Europe when he was visiting Europe to insult the Ukrainians. He was wearing this suit that was like almost electric blue in color. It was very strange. It was definitely not subtle or diplomatic. It was like a flag, right? So these are the new aesthetic for men, is these suits that are the same blue color as the U.S. flag. And for the women, their particular looks, you can see the Trump women, the new Russian Republic of the United States. The hair is all blown out. There's a word for it too. There's a word for this style. It's called the Texas blowout. It looks like you're standing in front of a fan and it's turned on full blast, and then you take a photo of the person and it freezes the hair in that position, like it's like just yeah. Anyway, that's the Texas blowout hairstyle. Lots of volume, no substance. The makeup is very stagey, theatrical. The Botox, lip filler injections, all these women look like groupers, right? And this is the new aesthetic. This is the new Trump aesthetic, the new Soviet Republic. The one thing I got to say about the Russians, the Soviets, or not, I can't call them Soviets anymore, but the Russians, is their women can be really hot. Like they don't do this to their faces. So I suppose that's an advantage they have over the American women. I had a girlfriend once who was a Russian who had immigrated to Canada, or basically fled. She was from the Donetsk region, this region now that Russia has taken over and bombed and bombed to gravel basically, and taken it over, and then taken the children and sent the children. Kidnapped the Ukrainian children and sent them to Russia, to retrain them and then send them back to the front after. This is the area she had come out of, and she was an Olympic level pole vaulter, and super hot, a pole vaulter, and she was a Russian living in this conflict area, and that's why she left. She said she couldn't take it; it was war. But this was like decades ago, so. Even then, it was war there, and she left to get away from that because she saw there was no future on that borderline between Ukraine and Russia. There's no future to live there. But anyway, back to the story about the Russian women. You know, their aesthetic is different. So perhaps now that Russia is actually taking over the United States, maybe the American women can learn something, some aesthetics from the Russian women. You know, less Botox, less filler. Whatever, they're going to do whatever they want. I'm sure with the men, the suits getting so blue, like I'm sure now they're going to be wearing top hats with like stars and stripes on them before long. It's just clown show. A clown show. Anyway, the vibe here in Canada is quite steely and cold against the United States, and I'm sure the Americans are going to feel it when they come across in the summer to enjoy our campsites and enjoy our cheap eggs and our excellent high quality Canadian made products. They'll be pouring over the border to spend all their US dollars here. And I wonder how we're going to feel when they do. We're going to take their money, of course, but I think our feelings towards them have changed. And it's not the Americans. Like, I have friends who are Americans. I have friends I went to like elementary school with or high school with are Americans. I went to an American high school for a number of years. So I have American friends, right, who I love. So, and he's threatening Canada. He's threatening our security. And as long as he continues to do that, I'm not going to put up with it, right, personally. And neither should any other Canadian. So, you know, Americans, you must understand why we're pissed off at you. And you must do something about it before you lose your own country, because that's happening now. There's no resistance anymore in the United States except for some media. A few media folks left. All the mainstream media has been eviscerated by Trump. The new I guess secret police that they're building. They're turning the FBI into a kind of secret police controlled by the presidential office. So it's going to be very much like a Russian oligarchy, a Russian dictatorship down there. But anyway, all this stuff is going on, and unless they fight against it, they're going to lose their country. And there's only some media. All the mainstream media, as they say, is gone now. It's all been sued into oblivion, or nobody's watching it anymore. It's gone to nothing, right? It's gone. It has no value anymore in the United States. We have our own problems with the media here in Canada. Because it's state-funded in Canada, nobody believes it anymore. Nobody believes what the media here says anymore. But there's some media in the United States that are the resistance. There's the people at the Bulwark, for example. They seem to be holding down the resistance aspect of the United States right now. But they're nothing. They're nothing. They're just like talking. They're talking on podcasts. Nothing. They're not actually fighting against the changes that are taking place in the United States. They're pointing them out to Americans who will have to decide whether to fight them or not, right? Like, they're losing their country right now in the United States, and they don't even understand it. People outside the United States, we can see it from outside, that you Americans are losing your country to a dictatorship so quickly. You know, your FBI is being co-opted into a kind of secret police. They've put all these yes men and they've fired all the middle layer. It's going to be really, really bad for you. You know, and look, I'm not happy about that. I'm not. But I think the first thing you should do is stop attacking us. And then maybe we can help you. Maybe we can help you fight it. You know, and I think this is why the Trump administration is going to keep doing this. You know, we're threatening to impose tariffs and then pulling it back at the last minute in this cycle, this endless cycle for 4 years until we're either unable to defend against them, or they'll just take over our economy bit by bit, or they'll do some weird economic thing, right, with us. I guess they're thinking they can take over our country without firing a shot, but I don't think it's going to be so easy. I've talked about this before. I wrote a column in the Arts Mag, in our local Arts Mag here last week about, it's coming out actually next week in the area on southeastern Ontario, about what it means to stand up against this stuff. And what will happen if they come for us? There'll be resistance, and it's not going to be nice. But, they're insane and they're crazy. From the flag blue suits they're now wearing to the Texas blowout hairstyle and the inflated grouper lips. Like, this is the new America. Absolutely phony, fake, and inflated. The inflation of the lips is symbolic of America. There are lots of talk. Maybe they'll attack something. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll pull away from, they won't protect us anymore. The president is threatening Canada now. Oh, you're going to need protection. We're not going to give you the protection for free. It's like a protection racket. He's trying to extort money from us. No, the Americans have changed, and we don't have to like it. And so I'm repositioning away from them completely. Although this summer I'm setting up at some craft fairs. I think I'm going to try and interact and do some local. I'm designing some small local products. I'm going to go out and pound the flesh in our crafts shows, I guess, towards the fall or the summer here on the river, just to see what the vibe is. And this is not necessarily a new direction I'm taking, but I just want to get a feeling for it, And also last night I went to this thing, our local our local recreation committee in my little hamlet had their annual general meeting last night. Now, this is the organization that does the pool events around the community pool, or the Christmas parade, or we have a chili cook-off next week, which I can't wait for because last year's was really good. And, I ate some, as I said, I missed the bear chili. There was bear chili, but I missed that. So I'm going to go early. Hopefully we'll get some kind of exotic Canadian chilies. But anyway, this group, this committee, had a meeting, the annual general meeting, last night. So I thought I would go and see what it was about, just as an observer. So I showed up, and there was like maybe a dozen people from the little hamlet there. And the meeting came to order. I hadn't been to a committee meeting in a long time, maybe 20, 30 years. I was at the House of Commons last year, which is sort of like a committee, but it's on a grander scale, I suppose. But the same rules sort of apply. Voting and moving things and seconding and all that stuff, which I never really understood, or I do sort of. But anyway, so I sat and listened to all the stuff that was going on in the hamlet. And then I started looking around the hall that we were in. And it's like, this is a nice hall to do a craft show in, or do a kind of an artisan event in. This is actually really good. So I'm going to give that some more thought this year. I should be able to rent the space out and then just get some nice local high-end makers into it. And maybe we can attract some U.S. customers to come across to buy the stuff. And then we can offer them prices U.S. dollars at par, so we can capitalize on the exchange difference. So I'm thinking of all this as I'm sitting there listening to the plans. And it occurred to me how great this little hamlet is. We have a pool. We have pickleball courts, tennis courts. We have a baseball diamond. We have an elementary school. We have nice, clean streets that are well maintained. We have neighbors that know each other. Might not know the name of the neighbor, but you nod, right? As you're walking down the road and you go by and you say hello. Or even if they're driving past you, they wave at you. This is our little hamlet, right? This is the beauty of small town Canada. And this is where our strength is as a nation, in small town Canada, throughout our giant country. But anyway, I'm sitting there listening to this tiny little group of people who create all these amazing events in our hamlet, and how this works. And I didn't offer myself up for any of the jobs that were needed. Okay. I might have felt a little bad about that, but I'm not even a member of the association. My mission, I should get a membership actually. But my mission there last night was because I write for the local arts magazine. I thought I would go and I can get event listings into the arts magazine for arts events, music events, the stuff that we're doing in town, as long as they get the dates and the event listing to me before the 21st of each month before publication. No, that's what I was there to tell them. I told them this. I said, look, email me whatever you want, and I'll get it in the magazine. So you'll get traffic coming from other places into the hamlet for, say, the chili cook-off or for our Christmas parade, which was really quite excellent. Tiny, but excellent, like really good. Halloween here is epic too. So yeah, so that's that was the thing. I'm going to try and inject a little bit of art, a little bit more art into the community here. And now this room I was looking at the room and I was thinking, this room, there's tables, there's nice big strong tables there. There could be art classes in this room. If I can find somebody to do art classes, there might be some art classes for kids happening in this, or adults, I'm not a teacher of children, but if somebody was who wanted to teach art, different types of art like collage one week or painting the next or something, it would be great too for the community. So I was thinking about that. But anyway, it all bases around this beautiful little community building. And I think I'm going to find a way to utilize that to not only sell some products, but to just expand the art vibe in my little hamlet. That's my goal. I'm drawing back. I'm pulling in for safety. I'm pulling back, and so should you. And in Europe, in particular, you guys, hell is coming for you. So tuck in, right? Tuck in. And make sure you know who your neighbors are, and make sure you know who your neighbors are, because we're going to need each other going forward. So anyway, that's it. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about this week. Oh, I'm starting to get the everything together for the first book of Tribe Magazine Photography, and I'm looking for a book publisher in Canada who can publish this book of photography. Now, I need a publisher who is super high-end. The quality here is going to be very, very high-end. I'm looking for excellent quality printing and an in-house graphic design capability that can help us. Although I can do that here, I want somebody in their pre-press department to know what they're doing. Send me an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. Now, if you don't know a publisher, but you know a printing company in Canada that prints this level of high quality coffee table book printing, I'm a publisher, so I can publish it, but I need the printing. And what I'm looking for is a Canadian printer, if at all possible. I want this book and the second book published in Canada. So that's my goal. So if you know of a Canadian publisher of high-end like coffee table books, send me an email. Or if you know of a printer who has that capacity, we can publish it ourselves and then hire a graphic designer to lay it out and then print it and then bind it and ship. So that's a plan. So you listeners out there in Canada, if you know of a really high-end printer, let me know, or a publisher. That's it this week for the Cannabis Goldsmith. Tuck in, buckle down, know your neighbors, get to know them better, because we're gonna have to share our safety with each other and protect ourselves going ahead. Anyway, I'll see you next week. I was going to talk about diamonds this week, but there's all kinds of crazy shit going on with diamonds. De Beers just dropped is trying to sell themselves, and they've dropped their price like huge because the company, as I described in previous podcasts, see above, do diamonds have a future? No, they don't have a future, as we discussed. And you can see it now in De Beers trying to sell themselves off in a fire sale. And nobody really is interested, I don't think either, in buying them. The Cannabis Goldsmith is produced by Tribe Communications, Inc. in the Thousand Islands area of Ontario, Canada. We recorded in our studio in southeastern Ontario along the St. Lawrence River, where we can see America across the river. Subscribe to the Cannabis Goldsmith wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the show and tell your fellow artist friends about it. It's the only artist podcast coming to you right from a studio every Wednesday morning. We'll see you next week on the Cannabis Goldsmith. Oh, if you want to reach me, send me an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. Thanks for listening.